That's when she showed up. Said the sheer torment in my works caught her eye. She became my patron, allowed my talents to flourish, and supported me financially. Eventually, she embraced me. As a well-off kindred, my artistic interests started to naturally deviate from what they used to be back when I was a poor mortal upstart. I began to see the world in the way her societal circle does, and that she couldn't forgive. Instead of being a fun novelty, I became just another part of the malaise surrounding her. She grew distant, then stopped seeing me altogether. I've had my share of meltdowns because of this, I won't deny that. I locked myself out of many career opportunities, but it was an important lesson. Don't trust your elders. Vampirism affects them psychologically as well. If they take interest in you, they won't stop until they suck your soul dry and then discard you like a broken toy. For the first time since I've known him, Seagal registers to me as something other than a Bible-thumping nuisance. Is it compassion I feel? Do I find him relatable? How dreadful. It's possible he's strategically trying to elicit sympathy. Maybe he heard about my dramatic exit from Lodestar. Or maybe he's just alluding to the way my sire left me here to fend for myself. It is only God who will ever lead you astray. This is why I find your act so frustrating, Julia. You're so close to getting it, but you choose sin instead. There's the Benoit Seagal I know. Almost had me fooled. Let's get back on track. What about Langley's disappearance from the city? Her path was a road to perdition. Wherever she ended up, I doubt she's too happy about it. She had plans for the future of the city, wanted to make it her ultimate artwork. She was always the vain one. And of course, you are completely sure you have nothing to do with her disappearance. Please don't tell me you're getting at what I think you're getting at. Everybody says you've been acting like you're trying to repent for something ever since her vanishing act. And you've got a motive. Of course, I'm getting at what you think I'm getting at. Benoit shakes his head. You really have the devil in your heart, Julia. Always testing me. Just asking whatever is thinking. How are they now? Listen, I'm familiar with a lot of the insults attached to my name in the city. Those aren't exactly compatible with the image of a ruthless killer. Killer, huh? Now that's interesting. I haven't said anything about killing. He scrubs his hands over his forehead and collects himself before responding. Stop taking apart every word I say in this completely unpleasant way. Here's a statement if you really want one. Miss Hercule Poirot. I do believe Sophie, the way I know her, has met her end. Even if she's still walking this earth, she wouldn't have come back here as the same prideful aristocrat. She'd have to undergo a spiritual rebirth. Someone has reminded her of her place. Her former friends talk of her in hushed voices. Even that servant playtoy of hers went missing. No more Camarilla parties. She's done for. Whatever happened to her, I don't know. I swear on Jesus and his sandals I had nothing to do with it. But yes, I'm still here, and she's not. It's not a reason to gloat, but to be more humble. I received a sign from God telling me to re-examine all the unfortunate ways I still resemble Sophie Langley. And I listened. I rejected the pride I shared with her. I renewed my vows to God, recommitted to preaching his greatness. I mean, this is why we're having this conversation in the first place. Right now, when I think of Langley's influence on my life, I am grateful because she was a sign that got me here. And, if God wills it, maybe one day you'll look at her the same way, Julia. Mental note, whenever he circles back to his preachy tone, it's time to intervene. Alright. If it makes you feel any better, I think that the only way a wimp like you could have hurt her was by boring her to death with Bible quotes. Now then, quid pro quo, tit for tat. You were saying people still talk about me. I was curious if... Oh, look who's finally here. Stalling for time worked. Father Leonard rushed in our direction, carrying a folder of documents under his arm. I assumed it's the one I came here for. Father Leonard. Christ be praised, Julia. Yesterday I was told this is how priests greet their parishioners in Eastern Europe. Forever and ever, amen. Actually, I think we said each other's lines. Never mind. Another long night. Isn't it taking a toll on you? Ah, no need to worry. These days I sleep a few hours a day. Short naps to take care of the rest, and there is always work to be done. I apologize for being late. At least I managed to get here before you and Benoit went for each other's throats. Good. I was getting worried. Oh, who do you take me for, Father? He takes you for a total bozo who's about to as effective at converting people as a documentary about pedophilia in the Catholic Church. He's just too kind to say it out loud. Ouch. Hear what I have to deal with, Father? But don't worry, we'll make a saint out of her yet. Forget saint. For now, I'd settle for an adult in the room. Isn't that what you're for? I've been patient with that role, but by now you kids should be moving out and not leaving crayon marks on the walls and throwing food around anytime Daddy's not looking. So let's just focus on your grown-up duties, shall we, Julia? Here. He gives me a folder he was carrying with him, and I pass him the reports I wrote earlier tonight. Among kindred, it is common knowledge that the Catholic Church is one of the Lasombra's greatest assets. Hell, it might even be one of the main reasons the Camarilla is slowly warming up to the clan. We are technologically impaired, and as such woefully unprepared to face the challenges of communicating in the 21st century, or to handle advanced encryption when you can't even unlock a smartphone. This is where the Vatican connections enter the picture. A web of priests scattered all around the world exchange our dispatches between each other, making sure they all reach their destinations in total secrecy. I was told not everyone in the Holy See is friendly to our kind, but the most shrewd and talented usually are. You could say they're like a mortal Camarilla, better than any intelligence agency. Remember what happened to John Paul I when he attempted to uncover the workings of the Institute for the Works of Religion? Death after 33 days of papacy, rumors of CIA and Masonic involvement. Not that Father Leonard has anything to do with any of this. For a Catholic priest, he's all right. He'd probably have made me stay a believer a few years longer than I did, had I known him as a teenager. Leonard is intelligent, kind, helpful towards his parishioners, treats his superiors with a healthy dose of skepticism, and is not involved in any sort of political church games. Well, at least not beyond helping me contact my bosses in Chicago every other night or so. He knows about the kindred, and he knows about the Second Inquisition. He opted to avoid the latter in order to keep the former from oppression, because according to him, it's the right thing to do. I know there's got to be something wrong with him, some selfish motivation maybe, and I haven't nailed it down yet. It doesn't feel like he's making an effort to hide it, so I'm giving him a pass. By the way, I hope you don't mind, I finally took the liberty of asking how your parents are doing. Thank you, Father, but you shouldn't have. Not a problem. A priest in St. Stanislas? A priest in St. Stanislas Koska is a good friend. He says your parents started showing up every Sunday again. Front rows. Your father's looking better and better. It makes me feel nothing, but I still give him a token nod and a grateful smile. Thank you, Father Leonard. Now, if you excuse me, the sunrise is almost here. Yes, be careful, and God bless you. Amen. Goodbye, Julia. I'll let you off the hook this time, but next time we'll be so lucky, all right? Sure, just one more thing on my never-ending list of events I'm not looking forward to. Yes, it's time to call it a night. I'm home. Finally. You doing all right? Fine, I guess. Why aren't you asleep? I figured it's finally time for me to become more of a night owl. We've talked about making our schedule sync better. Watch your vitamin D. I'd kill to have your skin. Would be a shame to waste it. Shouldn't have smoked so much before you got bitten, that sweetheart. Should have shared your skincare routine with me back when I was still breathing. I can't just be going around sharing my one secret weapon. It's top secret stuff. MK Ultra level. Jeffrey Epstein's current whereabouts level. I'd have to kill you if I told you. Okay then, I love you too, hun. Come on, what's with the attitude? Nothing, I just thought we're beyond hiding secrets from each other. I guess I was wrong, but okay, I get it. I really do. Time out. You're not really mad, are you? Nah, it's just my inner asshole teasing you. Never mind. I feel a little more self-conscious than usual tonight. Don't. You want me to do your makeup before you go to sleep? No need. No need? Weren't you supposed to have some sort of big party tomorrow night? I was involved in the backstage stuff. What makes you think I was invited? Because you're the coolest, cutest, and most all-around amazing person I know. It'd be insane not to put you on the short list. Believe it or not, most vampires are pretty insane. Interdimensional psychic vampire level insane? Because that's how crazy they'd have to be to ignore you like this. Yeah, I would say so. Fuck them then. A big bunch of posh dicks. They hate you because they ain't you. But they'll see. Jesus, how do you do it? Do what? You also assault me with so much of this weird, stupid positivity that I can't react to it without completely shifting my mental attitude. How do you do it? Oh, the answer is easy. You remember how I told you we have this spiritual connection? I can sense what you feel and want. You can sense what I feel too, if you really focus. Yeah, I think I called it a big load of bullshit. Said a girl who talks to ghosts. But watch this, Agent Scully. I sensed you feeling down and realized that you really needed to end. You really need to end this night. She points to one of her drawers. It's the one where she keeps her supply of ketamine. Come on. What? No, wrong drawer. We're not meeting demons. We're meeting angels. MDMA? Ding, ding, ding. Took it half an hour ago. Perfect timing. Thanks to our spiritual connection. Ready to fly away? The mood isn't right. I need music. Got a special SoundCloud playlist ready to go, prepared specifically to uplift one Julia Sawinski. Just give me a sign and I'll press play. Jesus, you're impossible. That's why you love me, I hope. I give up. Come here, let me have a taste of you. Maybe this one time the high won't end. I leave Dakota's apartment as soon as the sun goes down. Yesterday was fun, but I always feel a little nervous when I spend too much time with her. She never lets me escape from being the center of attention. It's exhausting. At least the less time I spend with her, the happier she is to see me again. It's a tricky act to balance, though. I'm grateful for her presence in my life, but never mind. What's on my list of chores tonight? Ah, yes, one and only thing. Don't show up for the party at the art hole. Well, this is a rare night when I don't have anything to do. Might as well take a trip around the city and see what's up. And maybe fix myself a little drink while I'm at it. Do walk in the park or breaking the habit? So I need to break out of this mood. Go somewhere I never visit. See something I tend to avoid. Think, Julia. What's the least place to go and live a little? To walk in the park. I walk in the park in life. I wasn't especially fond of parks. Now, as one of the kindred, I can finally see the appeal. Past midnight, they become a surprisingly good hunting ground. And Cortlandt Park. Funny, I never knew how much I could miss nature until I got stuck in this urban jungle for good. The sight of familiar green surroundings slowly fills my mind with just disjointed images, back from when I just moved to New York City and was still in awe of it. I reminisce, yes? Close my eyes, allowing myself to drown in this stream of memories. An elderly couple holding their frail hands in the warmth of the morning sun, an evening gathering of self-important academics, fervently discussing the discoveries no one but them cares about. A bunch of kids chasing an imaginary treasure, joyful, restless, and oblivious to the dangers of the summer's heat wave. A young, perfectly chiseled jogger running along the golf course, 100% grateful in every move he makes. Mesmerizing. My eyes snap open, and the spinning kaleidoscope of images fades away. I collect my focus and remember what brought me here. A burning heat reaches my fingers. I flicker the butt away and immediately take another cigarette out of the pack before proceeding through the parade ground. The faint sound of shoes tapping against the concrete interrupts my contemplative mood. Just what was I hoping for? I hurriedly finish my smoke and take a step back, blending in with the shadows. A lonely jogger runs in and out of the pale lamplight, completely lost in his thoughts. All dressed up in top-shelf sportswear, wiry muscles clearly visible under the skin-tight outfit, and his exposed neck. I get the urge back under control, for now. Back when I was alive, I'd rely on the breathe-in, breathe-out exercise. However, nowadays, breathing costs a premium. Just as I regain my composure, the jogger stops by the flickering lantern and takes a glance at his smartphone. His body tenses noticeably as he answers a call. Moving in on him right now would, of course, inevitably involve the caller hearing the assault happen. No reason to make things complicated. I take my time. I cautiously get closer and closer until I can finally overhear his words. Should expect the bad news, I know, but Jesus, Tasha, he's mine. He struggles and fails to sound calm. No, she doesn't know yet. I'll tell her when I get home. I need to think this through. I noticed a lanyard half stuck into a pocket with the Bronx Times logo slapped on it. They say there's no cure. Yeah, I heard something about experimental treatments in Rochester, but I can't make this decision on my own. I connect the dots, realize what he's talking about, and feel like I was punched straight in the guts. Listen, I need to clear my head. Tell Jonah I need a couple of days off. If he starts throwing a fit again, tell him he better learn to write the fucking column on his own. No, seriously. Thanks, Tasha. Yeah, I'll give him a kiss from his auntie. The moment he hangs up, his composure goes out the window. He basically stumbles to the nearest bench. God damn it. His faint sobbing stops me in my tracks. I lose my appetite. Feeding on this guy would feel nauseating anyway. Just when I convince myself that I should let basic decency take the reins, he notices me creeping around. He gives me a startled glance, eyes damp, looking absolutely miserable. Busted. So what do you say to a guy you were just about to assault in a dank park, but thought better of it? Hey, he absent-mindedly wipes away the tears off his cheeks. You by chance write for the Bronx Times? His short but genuine grin catches me off guard. He didn't expect to be recognized, definitely not by some random girl in the middle of the night. Yes, how do you know? You don't strike me as a baseball fan. So, he's a sports columnist. I put the fakest smile on my face. Time to lie out my ass. Well, you got that right. I'm a reporter too. I think I saw you once when I visited Jonah in his office. You worked with him, right? Yeah, you might say that. His inner struggle seems pretty clear. Truth be told, I write most of his things as well. Bingo. For real? That lazy bum will never change. If he wasn't such an ass-kisser, he'd be out of his comfy seat in no time. Sheesh. It's like you read my mind. Yeah. Anyway, don't let me stop you. Keep up the good work. You deserve better. You think so? I'm glad to hear it. Still, I don't mean to impose, but it's late, and this place is not exactly... Yeah, don't worry about me. Someone's picking you up in a few minutes away from here. See you around. For sure. Oh, and thank you. I notice a change in his melancholic face. He stands up with his back straight, like he has regained some of his lost resolve. He nods and starts running straight back to his problems. I start walking in the opposite direction. Even though I might regret this show of abstinence later, what little remains of my humanity inside my shriveled heart encourages me to think that letting this guy go was the right thing to do. I'll need a change of scenery to break out of this mood, and an opportunity to actually get some juice into my veins, relatively guilt-free if possible. Guess that's enough human interaction for one night. Once more to Big Beat Burger, into the last fast food joint I'll ever know. I'll have the usual. First time I used this line, I wasn't sure it would work, but I've gained enough notoriety among the staff that it does. The cashier just smiles, nods, and charges me for one black coffee. I can imagine them instructing the newbies. See that emo weirdo? Here's how it is. She also orders a single cup of coffee, nothing else, and she doesn't even drink it. Probably wouldn't take a single sip even if I was still alive. The stuff is just trash, but at least being a buying customer gives me an excuse to sit here for as long as I want to. I wish I could just use one of those self-ordering kiosks to minimize human contact, but touchscreens don't exactly like me. Not too long ago, I managed to blue screen 10 of them in a row. Well, the good news is it doesn't look like I have anything to do tonight. The bad news is, it's because every kindred who matters is having fun at the art hole right now. It's not like I wanted to go, I just wanted them to invite me so that I could tell them to fuck off. I scan the entrance to the restaurant through my peripheral vision. Am I naively hoping that someone will come and save me from misery? Guess I am. Please, 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 let somebody come and get me out of here. A prince, a princess, a knight in shining armor, a fairy godmother, a passing huntsman, Big Bad Wolf, Mila Jovovich, Vin Diesel, Azalea Banks. Hell, I'll take anyone at this point. Visualizing, tapping into the power of my subconscious, materializing my dreams. Nope, doesn't work. Looks like you're entirely stuck being a nobody in the corner of a shitty restaurant, sweet little Julia. Unlife's a bitch and then you don't even die. I pretend to read a book about psychoanalysts I stole from Dakota for a while. Having found it too mentally taxing, I switched to pretending to read a Stephen King book, which I also stole from Dakota. After the terrifying realization that it was written in the last 15 years, and therefore contains no amusing drugged-out rants about troubled childhood in Maine, I switched back to looking at the entrance. That party must be so stuffy and trashy and boring. At this point, I am no longer looking for salvation. I'm asking for amusement. But it doesn't come. All I get is a boring bozos in normcore clothes. They walk in, take care of the business without doing anything to amuse me, and walk out. A few minutes later, after I lose all hope, a tall, elegant man marches in with a spring in his step. He looks around, impatient, irritated. Then he notices the person he was looking for and reacts with visible relief. He gallantly approaches my table, looks at me, and says, "There you are." Now that's curious. He shouldn't be here. Careful, everyone. Big Bad Wolf is here. He will huff, he will puff, and he'll blow our house in. Why are you stalking me, Wolf? I'll have you know I'm not falling for the grandma disguise ever again. My dumb attempt at self-amusement doesn't faze him at all. He doesn't even roll his eyes, just stares at me blankly. Grab your stuff and get in my car. Now. His tone leaves no room for doubt. Something bad has happened. I want to ask what, but whenever he's in his I will simply ignore all the dumb shit you say mode, I know better than to ask questions. Instead, I silently follow him to the exit. He guides me to his car. I just hope I haven't messed anything up. Again. I don't think I have, but have I? Could hear his car. As usual, he gave me the back seat. He's always uneasy when the passenger seat is taken. Doesn't want anybody to limit his peripheral vision, he says. Normally, I'd catch him observing me in the rearview mirror, but this time he's watching the streets, more tense than usual. Something must have caught him off guard. I've got my seatbelt on and my popcorn ready. What's up? The awkward silence feels like it will last forever. Eventually, he finds the right words and speaks up. 6 weeks ago, the prince told me to parley with the anarchs in the docks, remember? Yeah, and you made me tag along so that I could learn something about politics. As it turned out, politics meant something awfully similar to watching my drunken family shout at each other at a wedding party. There was this man who didn't need to shout to make my blood boil. The meanest one in the room, their leader. White hair, monocle, musty clothes. With this fucking Pollock cunt. Scrooge McDuck. Yeah, how could I forget? A lot of panache, old-timey bravado, and gendering insults flying my way. What's his name? Something British. Made me think of Hollywood. Callahan? Baron Callahan. Douglas Boss Callahan. Right, it's 2020, but the man's opinions and ideals were stuck in 1920. Weren't the anarchs supposed to be the progressive option? I never understood why they put up with him. He has his ways of predicting which way the wind will blow. Anytime Camarilla or the sea hit the anarchs, it was the factions opposed to him that were hurt. The luckiest bastards in the world. Thought you didn't believe in luck. I don't, but it sure looks like his luck is finally running out tonight. Huh? Wait, don't tell me. He's dead? Deader than dead? I'm 99% sure the bastard met his final death. How do you know? We've got trustworthy sources in the anarch inner circles. Looks like all hell's about to break loose. There's an emergency meeting at the art hole. Jesus, and you're bringing me with you? Why? Because you were on the way. Because I could. Because I should. You might not be important to the members of the court, but you're still an asset to the sect. Symbolically, at least. I can justify sneaking you into the party, claiming it's for your own protection. An unexpected alliance between Big Bad Wolf and poor Little Red Riding Hood. Wait a minute, though. The party is still happening? I called the prince, told her the best course of action is stopping it and started listing security protocols I have prepared for these sorts of situations. She interrupted me halfway through and told me we will discuss the subject face to face. Doesn't sound like she was interested. The party's that important, huh? Politics. Politics is that important. I don't know if he's trying to convince me or himself. Once again, politics sound an awful lot like a bunch of party-loving assholes shouting at each other. Don't worry, this isn't the kind of, how should I call it, governing issues the likes of you and I tend to deal with. And how would you describe the governing issues we tend to deal with? Shoveling ourselves out of shit. As usual, he seems a little embarrassed for cussing, or for being too honest. Either way, it's cute. No arguments here. And that's where the conversation ends. We stay silent as the car rides off towards the unknown. I'm not a New York City baron, Baron of New York City, if you please. Once more, a memory of an old douchebag who thought he could rule the world crosses my mind. Well, looks like the world has left him behind. Sayonara, asshole. And here I am at the only place I didn't expect to visit tonight, the art hole. Guessing by the sounds, the inside seem lively. Even if they know it's an emergency, they simply don't care. What are you standing around for? You still need an invitation? No idea. Do I? I think the bouncer will let you in. There's a bouncer? Yes, and he's standing right in front of you. Just start walking, you will. Here I am among partying elites. It's as stuffy and boring as I expected, but hey, at least it's exclusive. The title Panhard came up with for these yearly gatherings is called Celebrations of Power, an invitation to re-examine the relationships between our undead bodies and the spaces they inhabit. This week-long event is packaged as a sort of performance art piece meant to take the kindred who are involved celebrate their potential instead of despairing at their monstrous nature. We need to counter-program the omnipresent images of tragic vampirism with images that remind us we have inherited the earth and are free to remake it in our image, is the way our prince puts it. To this end, she organizes a series of exhibits, concerts, fireworks, parties, business meetings, etc., etc. Of course, the parties and business meetings are the most important. My prince. Kadia, finally. A saint with angelic wings, a holy patron of New York City. I take a good look around. Half of the figures here are dressed like they're attending a masked ball. The other half are religious figures, either demonic or saintly. I have to admit, I don't fully understand the theme here. I know Panhard based it on, psychomagic, a sort of shamanic psychotherapy using the power of art. Simply put, it's a holy mass and unholy mass in equal measures, a set of rituals meant to make the participants wholeheartedly accept they're both the worst and the best this earth has to offer. Put on this mask, at the very least. You're standing out. Here. I heard the aesthetic basis for these parties is the black mass in the film Eyes Wide Shut. Some think this decision means Panhard is tone-deaf, but it's quite the contrary. She knows the anarchs are constantly looking for ways to undermine her through art and rhetoric that point out glaring contradictions in her theoretically benevolent rule. But instead of denying and suppressing aesthetics designed to criticize the elites, she embraces them. Instead of risking a Streisand effect, she effectively defangs the opposition. The resistance becomes part of the system, and both the Camarilla and the anarchs get the same message. Don't think of it as a pathology, think of it as a new normal. I'll collect the key advisors. They've already been told to come here. I don't think there's a need for us to hold the meeting in a particularly secluded place. We'll just do it over there. Are you certain? Absolutely. Wait, is that Miss Sawinski I see behind you? Good evening. I collected her on my way here, because of her role as a Lasombra representative. Just say political hostage. You people have made it perfectly clear of what's going to happen with my parents back in Chicago if I go against you. I realized she might become a target and decided to hide her here at the art hole, putting all my eggs in one basket and to make my job easier. I will look for a safe place for her to spend the night. Let her stay with you for now. Alasmai, time is of the essence. I didn't notice him sneak up on us. Nice get-up. Are you absolutely sure? But of course, everything we say here is going to become an open secret in a matter of minutes. Prince Panhard has already come up with the appropriate messaging. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted an elderly vampire guiding a young, fashionable human girl towards the basement. Led like a lamb to the slaughter. Best not to think too deeply about what's going on underneath this place. Before everyone gets here, I'd like to secure the perimeter. Easy now, Alasmai. All of the appropriate security protocols for you all are already active. Me and the prince have already pulled some strings as well. The situation is mostly under control. Mostly under control, never let anyone sleep any easier. Alasmai. I know that as the prince's sword, you're aching for blood, but you have to accept that, like most weapons known to men, they are most effective hidden in the sheath. Listen here now. Looks like a fascinating philosophical discussion in the making, but sadly I'm forced to interrupt. Prince Panhard. All of a sudden, Samira appears between the two men, her calm and collected voice completely changing the atmosphere. That's expected for a self-professed protector of the peace. Samira, I hope you're enjoying yourself. To be quite honest, I feel out of place. She nods and smiles at me, probably the signal. She takes solace in not being the only person in the room who feels like a fish out of water. Especially now, seeing as I heard this meeting is meant for those of greater stature than mine. Nonsense. We have a delicate matter to discuss, one that might require severe judgment down the road. I think you understand why I wished for a child of Hakim to be involved. Of course. What is that expression on your face, Kadir? He quickly collects himself. Look who's joining us. The High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs, Lady Aisling Sturbridge, walks up to our group in an outfit I would have never imagined her in, pretending everything is on par for the course. Prince Panhard, the Sheriff, the Harpy, the Banu Hakim, Primogen. Are we still waiting for someone? He's almost here. Shining even more brightly than usual, Aisling. I adore your outfit, Samara. I wish the prince would allowed the same amount of effort for me. I, for one, am glad she didn't. I particularly love those horns. Thank you for reminding me. I put them on at the princess' behest, but I believe she's had more than enough fun. No, not yet. Well, this will do for now. But you're not off the hook yet. I paid a costly price to see you like this. Both Kadir and the prince's voices are strained whenever they attempt humor. Their minds are obviously elsewhere, and it's not a happy place. Arturo, on the other hand, seems calm. We all celebrate our power in different ways, I suppose. Now, what's this about? Just a moment. Over here, Addison. The Camarill's infamous spokesman approaches, pushed towards us in a wheelchair by his servant. Helene, everyone, I certainly hope this is something important. What a commanding tone. Seeing as Payne can't communicate normally, his servant relays his words to us instead, and he's posh and snobby enough to make me believe I'm listening to his master's voice. Carter won't be joining us. He gave me fair warning he might not make it tonight. I've messaged him the details. I'll have to find time to meet him later then. Finding time, searching for lost time. I swear it's all I do nowadays, and there's never enough. I guess now you understand why I insisted that the event must last all week. So many esteemed guests, many of them from out of town, each deserving of at least a few hours. The figure in the wheelchair waves his hand impatiently. Yes, let's just cut to the chase now, shall we? That might be the wisest course of action. My prince? Arturo. My prince, everyone. Let me begin by stressing these important points. The situation is largely under control. The negotiations are underway, and the situation is more tense than dangerous. We are safe. Let me repeat. We are safe. And with that out of the way, here's the big news. Baron Callahan, de facto leader of the Anarchs in New York, met his final death in his office tonight. How did you find out? We have a good friend near his office. Their intel is as accurate as it gets. We've also established a negotiation channel with the Anarchs. They gave us all the confirmation we need. Was our court involved in his destruction? I look at her in disbelief. So does everyone else. Not that the same thought hasn't passed through my head, but to simply exclaim it like that. Spare me the virtue signaling. I thought we were being transparent here. I don't give a damn if we took care of Callahan or not. I just want to have a clear idea of what I'm dealing with. Yes, a clear answer. I need that too. To my knowledge, none of us present here ordered his destruction, nor did we participate in it. Unless someone wants to confess, it's now or never. Of course nobody speaks up. Arturo pretends to clear his throat. That's our official position as well. The Cameron's ruling body had nothing to do with it, and for all intents and purposes, his Anarch contenders had more interest in removing him than we did. That interest is sure to manifest in one way now. His former enemies will prop him up as a martyr for the cause. Yes, which is why we can't just leave the Anarchs to their own devices. As much as we'd like to avoid recognizing their sect in any way, we've offered to assist them in an official investigation. As Payne's wrinkled voice contorts slightly. Let me just ask you one question. You do realize those curs have no respect for our traditions, yes? We do, Addison. But as a veteran politician, should you be deeply familiar with the words controlled opposition? Yes, for now it's impossible to fully contain the Anarch threat in New York. For now, our only option is to prop up a candidate who will offer the least resistance to our future plans for the city. We extend our hand to the most promising contender, giving him a way to present himself as a diplomat, a man of reasonable compromise. The rabble falls in line, the purists grow angry and alienated. We've already contacted the best possible person in their sect. He will oversee the investigation, and it's in his best interest to show how he's able to resolve the situation calmly. Is that good enough? Addison ponders the question for a while, then waves his hand again. It is. Proceed. Funny thing, nobody's paying any attention to me right now. Keep in mind, Mr. Payne, our man's people will still barely tolerate us, and the situation is volatile. The other factions within that sorry excuse for a sect might try to escalate the conflict. I'll do my best to solve the situation as fast as possible. How so? Kadir is momentarily taken aback by Arturo's question. I volunteer to coordinate the case with the Anarchs, of course. I refuse. You have more important duties to focus on. Once more, Kadir is stunned. All due respect, Prince, but if you don't consider me capable of tackling this issue and attending to my usual duties at the same time, I think you've gravely underestimated me. The penchant for working yourself to the bone is well known and appreciated by everyone in this room, Sheriff. But so is your perfectionism. If we do grant you your wish and let you investigate while still fulfilling your routine obligations, can you guarantee you're going to give both these tasks your best? I can guarantee something very close to my best. Close your eyes, or close to your best doesn't cut it. Alasmai, not when the vultures are out there. Callahan's destruction is sure to cause unrest among the Anarchs. There's an obvious outlet for their pent-up rage. I want to make this perfectly clear. The celebrations will continue as planned, no matter what. This is why your presence here is absolutely necessary. Sheriff. We rely on your constant protection. Of course, my prince. We must be on a constant vigil for a few days. Alasmai's sword must be constantly pointed at the enemies surrounding us. The timing of the Baron's destruction is impeccable. The Anarch leaders are sure to point at us, claim we're shamelessly celebrating his end. Does anybody believe it's just a coincidence? Murders are messy, almost as messy as politics. It's impossible to reliably predict the outcome of any violent action. I think it'd be wise of us to brace for a lot of unfortunate coincidences, I think. In any case, the rebel can't get the impression that their power struggles are of great concern to us, but they also can't think we have something to hide. Which brings me to my point. We do need a symbolic gesture, one displaying expertly measured intensity. My best bet is a humble diplomatic envoy, a low-level official acting as an investigator of sorts. I implore you, Prince. Kadir. He bites his tongue and struggles to collect himself. I rarely see him lose his temper, at least where the Camarilla is involved. What's going on? I wonder about your suggestion for this role. After all, it's not particularly prestigious, but carries a lot of responsibility. We're still talking about a Camarilla representative. Oh, I think there's a very obvious candidate. Both he and Kadir look at me simultaneously. Everyone else in the room does too. Now, wait a second. You can't possibly mean... Miss Julia, once again, your full name eludes me at the moment. Am I allowed to speak? Or maybe I should wait for permission. Before I make up my mind, the sheriff sighs deeply and speaks up. Sawinski. Miss Julia Sawinski, right? I understand you used to be an investigative journalist before your embrace. That's correct. Among others, the Banu Hakim Primogen insists that you are worthy of greater privileges and should be given a chance to prove yourself. Samira measures Arturo with his suspicion. Yes. Do you still think she's capable? She looked at me deep in the eye. I swear she's telepathically trying to tell me, please, 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 don't fuck this up, you dumbass little white girl. Of course. Good. I'm sure that you, Asma, have no problem with your protege embarking on this mission, save for the pain a mother feels when watching her child leave the nest. Whether I do or don't is not particularly important right now, is it? It absolutely is. Panhar's backing of Arturo momentarily blindsides him. Prince Panhard, If Arturo's plan is reckless, I want you to tell me. I need a simple yes or no answer. Is the girl capable? Now he knows he's left with no choices. I wouldn't entrust her with all the responsibilities that I have if she wasn't. He exchanged glances with me, but his look is different than Samir's. It's as if he's trying to apologize to me. Here we are, then. A recommendation from the Banu Hakim Primogen and the sheriff. To tell you the truth, I was just throwing out ideas, but with this backing, I can't doubt the Night Clan's representative will get the job done. I'm certain each of us feels the same. Mr. Payne? The atmosphere in the room mostly suggests people are glad they don't have to discuss the topic further. A shrug here and a averted gaze there. It is as you say. I will watch the way she handles this situation with great interest. Well then, Miss Sawinski, looks like you've got your chance for a big break. Yeah, just point me in the right direction and tell me what to do. No point in pretending I have no choice here, is there? Or I have a choice here, is there? Excellent. That leaves us with only one more matter, which I hope we can agree on. Prince Panhard signals someone with their hand. The figure emerges from behind the corner. Good evening. Catherine, what a pleasant surprise. Nobody informed us you were in town. Addison, looking healthier than ever. And what does Wise have to do with it? We need an impartial observer who everyone respects. And as it happens, Catherine always knew how to make friends on both sides without angering either. I'd be grateful if, just for once, you decided against throwing a tantrum about me, High Regent. A painful grimace across Isling's face, but she is quick to interpret the taunt as an invitation to a game she can't possibly win. As long as she can prove herself useful to the proceedings in some way. If half of what I heard from her and Mr. Vander Vaden? No. If half of what I heard about her from Mr. Vander Vaden is true, she should be able to. And what did poor Carter say about me this time? Nothing specific. One always has to read between the lines with him. But it was mostly envy. Miss Wise gracefully agreed to mediate between the Anarch representative and the Lasombra representative, ensuring mutual cooperation and mitigating potential conflicts. That felt like a Freudian slip. Lasombra representative, not Camarilla representative, i.e., someone who can be catapulted from the sect without much damage to the Ivory Tower if they messed up. Is there a meeting set up? Arturo looks at the clock on the other side of the room. In less than an hour. You'd better hurry then. What the hell? All this happening so fast. If the situation is indeed under control, I will drive her and oversee the situation. Out of the question. You got your orders, Sheriff. Attend to those. Fool, the girl needs guidance. And we need yours. Nobody knows what might happen next. But it's not as if the Anarchs have a lot of love for you, Alice my. You're too efficient in your duties for them to tolerate you. Better spare Miss Sawinski having them see you two together. Do you think my guidance of Julia would be lacking, Kadir? I never said that. So, do you have any objections to putting her under my care? He lowers his gaze, but seems reassured. None whatsoever. That's all I needed to hear. We'll be going, then. Wasting no time as usual, I see. Have you at least tried the aperitifs? Waiting is an old person's game, Helene. I still feel young. Remember, if there's anything you need help with. Probably not, but I appreciate the thought nonetheless. Have a great night, everyone. I'll catch up with you later, Addison. I certainly hope you do. And so we leave, in a rush. Funny, considering what she told me about being in a hurry yesterday. We're here. She thanks the chauffeur and lets me out of the car into a quiet neighborhood, somewhere in Queens. Seems like you were in a rush. Couldn't stand the crowd. She's honest. Probably performatively so, but just to get into my good graces. Well, it's working. Why is that? In my experience, gatherings like those always enable a boring pack mentality. All the familiars lies we tell ourselves to justify lusting for more repeated and ad nauseum. And what lies are you telling yourself? Her aura immediately turns colder. You have bigger issues to worry about, sweetheart. Well, at least now I know how familiar I can get with her. And that I do. Back at the art hole, you said something about guiding me, but I have zero idea what to do. None whatsoever. I had a few necessary arrangements to make over the phone before we got here to ensure your pretty little head stays attached to your neck. For now, anyway. I'm grateful, but I still feel way out of my depth. I need to know what to do. You used to make a living as an investigative journalist, did you not? Investigate the murder. In TV shows where an investigative journalist gets too close to the heart of a politically incendiary case, it rarely goes well. A cat's head's on the porch, a bullet to the head. So are you afraid you might be a pawn in a game you don't understand? Then your elders consider you a disposable asset, that a single wrong move might cost you everything you hold dear. That sounds about right, yeah. Well, by the sound of it, you understand your situation perfectly. Don't belittle me. I need your advice. Be anything you want, but don't be boring, Julia. If I wanted to belittle you, I would have drowned you in platitudes long ago. Know thyself. Believe in your strength. Trust no one. Act confident. Turn the chessboard around and read your opponent's mind. Read Sun Tzu and quote him incessantly. Say, and do you feel any better? Can I ask you something? Seeing as Mia is still not here, of course. Do you know who killed Baron Callahan? I haven't the slightest idea. Alright, well, we stop it there. This is Audapostrophe. You've been watching Vampire the Masquerade, Shadows of New York on Nintendo Switch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.